right, good morning, everyone. Youngstown's Talk Channel. Joe and Kelin feeling spicy today, so let's get her
spicy.
Get her going. So what's new on Kellin's melon? We dedicated a lot of time to ranting yesterday, and I felt beautiful. So if this show, the only thing it does is make me feel better, like I've been in a session. We'll do it every day if we have to.
That's all we need. That's what it's for.
This is for me. It's about me, not you.
Well, here's a quick rant. And I know that we have already discussed this on this show before, but I'm bringing it up again because to me, I've had enough with the freaking bright ass headlights on cars. This is no longer an annoyance. This is dangerous. It is out of hand. There is no reason headlights have to be as bright as they are with zero guidelines. Like I think you said one time they should be able to angle them down so they're not blinding people.
Right.
Well, clearly we're not making that a requirement.
Right.
It's not happening. Why is it that even in the middle of the day, don't even get me started with at night. I'm scared to drive at night because I'm totally blind. Even during the day, I have to literally do this. I'd love to turn right now, but you're shining a spotlight directly into my face and I can't see where I'm going. This has gotten out of hand. And I'm not even saying this hypothetically. I would actually like to know how we turn something in to our representatives to say, we have all had it with these stupid headlights. They've got to go.
Okay. Well, let me give you my can't statement first. Okay. So there are ways of solving this, right?
Yeah.
And the reason we can't is because when you drive on any interstate, on any road, and you're around other people, how many infractions or not driving correctly do you think if you had a clicker in your hand, how many you would rack up in any given day?
Oh, like distracted drivers or...
Distracted drivers, the headlights that aren't pointed correctly, slow in the left lane, improper merges, and whatever.
Yeah,
it is too so prevalent. If you...
They do? They do? Well, I'm getting me some of those.
So if you were to absolutely just take driving regulations and punish every single person, no one would be able to drive because they'd be bankrupted. So they have laws they can't universally enforce because if they did, they would be so, just crushing to every driver. And so they can't do that. So now they have to arbitrarily do it. So we have a speed limit. And I watched it when I was younger. You'd get pulled over for 5 miles under or 5 miles over.
Ooh.
And then I watched it grow to, they wouldn't even bother pulling anybody over 10 miles over. And now it's so prevalent that they do 20 freaking miles over. So if you're going to have a rule or law and you can't universally apply it and you're scared to actually invoke it on anyone, now what you're going to do is you're going to do discrimination and you're going to pick and choose who apply to the law to instead of everybody. The breakdown of society is when you have too many laws, you can't enforce them all. And even if you did the righteous thing, which is enforce them all, you couldn't do it. Like that is the setup for having, I know you started off with headlights, but I would like, drivers to be given little missiles on the side of their car. And when you get a left lane slow driver, that you're allowed to just blow them up off the road.
Or how about a driver that's looking at their phone so they go left of center and almost hit you head on? Yeah. I can't believe how often that happens.
Yep. So here's
so often
here's
it's
the
insane.
So AI is going to get in every car and the car is going to tattle on you and tell you when you do something, go left of center without a pothole or about whatever, go into the left. It's going to know all the rules and it's going to see when you do it. And it's going to send a little message to law enforcement. And they're either going to send somebody out to observe what the AI saw, or they're just going to be like, I trust AI. It's objective. And they're just going to write mini tickets to everybody. And so you get the first wave of those things so that you get a $1 ticket. This is a reminder that, hey, this is going to go up and you better get on board with doing the right shit. And, reporting those headlights that are, mal-pointed. My car does it automatically. So when you get AI to the point that headlights are going to have motors and be adjustable, and it's going to say, oh, driver, you're being stupid. You have this big truck. You don't know how to turn a little Allen wrench to point it directly. So I'm going to do it for you.
Why aren't the car manufacturers doing it?
They need adjusted regularly.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a little mount and it has an X and Y axis. And basically what you do is you pull in front of your garage door. you pick a center line on any markings that you have in your garage door and point your lights below that horizon, right? And as you're driving down the road hitting potholes, those things loosen up and jostle, and then all of a sudden it might be pointed up. And then so you have to do the alignment on a regular basis. So as your car maintenance, which human beings should do, test your blinkers and make sure that your brakes are good and add headlights to the mix. 90% of drivers don't do any maintenance whatsoever. You know what they do? They plop in their car and they go.
Yeah.
They expect somebody else to do the responsibilities of being a driver, which is making sure your car is roadworthy.
And it's probably, I mean, like I didn't even know that you could or should
for sure.
adjust your
have
headlights.
The responsibility. We're driving 2,000 pounds of a wrecking ball around, and then the dumb people who are given the free will, free ability to drive, don't take it serious enough to not put other people in danger. Imagine that.
BJ says, yeah, there's night driving anti-glare glasses for like $7 to $20 on Amazon.
And they're really good too.
Which I'm probably going to get. And then that annoys me that I have to get this. Like I have to protect my eyes because we can't simply put something in place that says, hey, maybe it's not a good idea for a giant spotlight to be on every freaking moving vehicle as people are driving and causing accidents.
It's safer. So I don't want to ban those things. I want it so that they're pointed in the right direction so they can be used.
That's what I'm saying. First of all, I don't know about banning them, but maybe because they're unnecessarily bright. No, you can argue that fact. But at the very least, there should be a guideline. Either adjust them and point them or have them get that bright on certain occasions. Every car has the brights feature. Here's my normal headlights, and now my brights are on. Why does the normal headlight have to be brighter than the brights have even ever been? And it's like that all the time.
A lot of the mechanisms are very weak right now for auto sensing, lanes when you go out of your lane and whatever. So the cameras are not sensitive enough just yet, and they have to illuminate more things because it's doing some of the driving and corrections for you. So it's going to get brighter because those cameras need more data for the automation systems to work.
Or the driver could watch what they're doing. We have to create another problem to help solve this problem because this driver is a problem.
It is not getting better. We have these entitled drivers who are selfishly getting stupider, not caring. And so what you're doing is saying, what I've been fighting this for 20 years. Hey, everybody's getting stupider. We shouldn't do that. And then at a certain point, you have to acknowledge, no, people are not going to get smarter. They're not going to get more responsible. They're not going to take responsibility for themselves. We're going to have technology fill in the gaps where people are just going to be too stupid to even drive in the future.
Just tell me, though, I am correct in thinking we have a problem, which is the human being.
Yes.
So we created another issue to try to solve that problem.
That's what human
beings
created do through the adaptation process.
Now we have another problem for that problem.
That is what we've been doing through all of human history.
Yeah. Emmanuel says, are we back at the LED lights again? Yes, Emmanuel, because it's absolutely ridiculous that I can't go anywhere and feel safe and not get a headache on a daily basis because of this light in my eyes.
You're so privileged. First world problems, like one guy over in Nairobi, is fighting and saying, I got dysentery in my family got from polluted rivers because we shit in our rivers and can't figure it out.
We would kill to have headlights and cars.
You're like, oh, you got bright lights in your eyes? Oh, okay. Sorry for you.
If I get a bright light in my eye and I swerve off the road and kill somebody.
Yeah. Has it happened? Is
me?
Yeah.
Thank God, no. To anybody? I don't know.
You're just annoyed. It's not causing the damage.
Don't police officers get hit all the time because of people I don't know what it's called. There's a real thing.
That's a different thing.
That's basically what we put on the front of every moving vehicle is a spotlight.
It's an annoyance right now, but you're seeing the road ahead and it could get dangerous. I get
the only reason I am able to stay on the road is because I stare at the white line while driving.
Yeah.
That's the only part of the road I can still see. Nothing in front of me, nothing crossing, nobody.
You've adapted.
That's all I got. So good luck to anyone or anything outside of where my vision is because I can't look anywhere else if a car's passing.
Okay. Let's get off this because you're getting fired up and You can't do anything about it, and they're not
we
banning
can do
those
something
lights.
about
Like
it,
what?
Joe.
Tell me.
We can write our representatives
Ooh,
and
write
we can
them.
pass some
I'm
guidelines.
your congressman, and I get a letter from Kelin said the lights are too bright, and the congressman's like, "Okay, cool. Do you have any money for me? No money.
Listen.
Is there a lobby that am I going to make any political ones? No.
If I go outside, if I go outside and I tint my windows so dark you can't see in them whatsoever, am I going to get a ticket or pulled over or reprimanded? That's illegal, isn't it?
Yeah.
To tint your windows, and it's fine
Okay,
to completely blind other drivers like
process.
that's safe.
Let me see due process. So you have tinted windows, and I pull you over because I'm suspicious that the tint's too much.
Yeah.
I walk up and I take my little tint meter. I have you roll your window down. I put it on there. I get a metric and reading.
Yeah.
Right. And it says, oh, it measures a 0.4, blocking 40% of the light. The rule is 30%. Here's a ticket for too dark of tint. There's due process. Now do the same thing with your lights were too bright.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Your lights are too bright. Do you have them angled down? No, I didn't know I could do that.
How do you measure too bright?
Here's a ticket.
How do you measure too bright?
I drove past them and they're obnoxiously bright.
Okay, so you go into court, court, and I gave a ticket to Kelin because their lights were too bright, and the person says they weren't too bright, and the judge says, "Well, how bright were they?" There's
got to be a light measure meter,
really big, and the judge is going to say,
so.
I'm going to need a measurement of what too bright is because this sounds like you just didn't like it and you were annoyed."
I feel like there's a measure. There's something you can measure the tint on a window. Can you not measure light brightness? What a light bulb is emitting?
So they have, if you take a camera and you put it at it, it'll give you the lumens at a distance and be able to measure how bright it was. So we would then, again, have to put measuring devices in cop cars.
Yes.
That would be able to isolate the brightness of a deal, set a rule that's what's too bright and what's not bright.
Yes. Let's do that.
Okay.
We do it for tint. We do it for so many other things.
All right. You put on a campaign to get equipment new installed. Like I'm going to go talk to some police forces and say, hey, everything that's in your car, right, that you don't have that you wish you would have here, like gun racks and, speed radar guns and a computer mount and whatever. What's missing here? And what if I jammed in a light detector? The cop would say, yeah, it's probably something we're going to have to hit in the future, but we don't really see a bunch of accidents, and it's really going to be hard to enforce because
people got to die before we do something.
Typically, the people that have the lights that are at you are on the other side of the division, and so pulling somebody over that's coming at you way over there, having to turn around might impose more of a risk for me turning around.
First of all,
than whatever.
It is not way over there.
Way over there. They're going 60
I have
miles
literally
an hour
been
You're going 60
at an
in this
intersection
direction.
and I can't see where I need to turn, and I had to physically do this.
Okay,
I'm going to need you to
keep it on your radar.
Can't you go to the cop car and say, what in this car do you find absolutely no need for? This? Great. I'll take that out. Now you have room for your light reading meter. Why do we have to wait for accidents to happen? Do we wait for somebody to get in an accident before we pull them over because they don't have a seatbelt on? Or do we say it was a dangerous thing, so here's a new law?
Yes, it's an annoyance, but I don't think it has risen to the level where you're going to get mass adoption of a light meter.
Oh, I disagree.
Right,
I bet we could fundraise this cause through the general public. The general public, how many people are annoyed and can't see while driving?
I'm going to look up right now.
Everybody donate $5, $3. This can be easily figured out.
Light brightness rules. Let's see what it states in code right now. Okay, so the code is that it's high beams illuminating objects 350 feet ahead and low beams at 100 feet ahead without blinding oncoming drivers.
Without blinding oncoming drivers.
Okay, so must underglow. Well, that's illumination. Headlights. It doesn't say the luminosity, so that would probably have to added to code. Yeah,
if anything, it has guidelines on it has to be at least this bright. It doesn't say cannot be any more than.
So that's
but it says without blinding oncoming drivers. They're blinding oncoming drivers.
But think of what you would have to do. You would have to ask somebody who was blinded. So you have to track down two people, the offender and the offendee.
I'll go outside right now and find another one. Go on.
Anyway, there's more to do. There's more road to hoe.
And it can be done.
Okay.
We can make this happen.
Take it upon yourself. That's a noble.
Listen, anybody listening or watching, pursuit. Go ahead and put in the comments section. I'm in. How much effort do you think this would take to change? Probably not much.
I will be an observer. I will not help you with this, but I will observe and
you will stand back and clap when you are driving and not blind.
Yeah,
you're gonna be
I'm going to take on the left lane slow drivers because that's easy to pick off those annoying people. And it's typically
that's annoying. That's not even a date. Well, it can be a danger.
Oh, it is.
It can be a danger
in the fast lane, 20 miles an hour
on
differential.
a highway, especially merging. It's a danger.
Yes, and it's the old people that go over there because they feel safe. Because merging incoming traffic, they want to stay far away from all of the action that's happened, and then they clog up the left lane. And I've asked a couple of people, including some family members, why the hell they do that. And they don't even know that you're not allowed to do that. They have slow? They're clueless that the left lane is whatever because they're old. They took their driving test in 1927, right? They don't typically get pulled over because the cops are like, it's a slow driver. The fast ones are where I'm going. They don't hit social media, so they don't see me complaining about one car with 12 cars freaking behind them. So I say once you hit a generational jump that you have to retake all of your driver's tests you have to do your parallel parking. You have to do the full driver's test. You have to prove that you are competent to effing drive.
You have to prove you can adjust your headlights.
Yes, exactly. It'll help both of us. All right. So all you old people, because you know, if you ever gone to renew your license and they give you like an eye test and they're like, here's another 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think they're like permitting a whole lot of, new granting of ability without really checking to see if you're still a good driver?
Oh yeah, it's here's your belt for Taekwondo. I'm sure you're fine.
So make it harder so that and honestly, I'm really hopeful that there would be less drivers on the road if they did this because it would dissuade everybody being able to drive.
Like when you said, well, this would just make massive amounts of drivers no longer on the road.
Good.
Okay. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Good.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel's getting into this too.
Okay.
He's got some stuff. I personally love LEDs, but I also agree with you. Drivers need to actually take 2 seconds to read the instructions and adjust the LEDs after installing. Police should enforce this as well. Yep. You can have your back window tinted, but your front and side windows can't be tinted past a certain percentage, but you still have the glare issue from the front and sides. They made a song about this. I wear my sunglasses at night. Yes. That artist was sick of these bright headlights. It would be a task, but I'm sure it could become a local ordinance if this issue is pushed.
Yeah, get on it. I like I said, if you nail it, I will celebrate it with you.
All right. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? When's the next time a representative's coming on here? We're talking about this.
We have a congressman coming in here on Friday.
Really?
You want me to slide in him a note?
I do. I do want you guys to bring up the bright ass headlights and say, we have had enough.
Okay. I'll try to remember to ask him when he's here because I'm sure they're going to be talking about property taxes and the economic future of Ohio. I'll put bright lights on his radar.
It's important. And it's an important issue.
I want to gauge how much he moves on from that and what he says in response to that because I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see if he gets all passionate about headlights.
So you know how if somebody is negligent, if a business or somebody has been warned about a danger and they do nothing, when somebody gets hurt, they are now held liable. Mm-hmm. That's what this is. We're bringing it up. And when somebody gets hurt because of this, they're going to be like, oh, well, it wasn't a big deal.
Those rules are for people. Governments don't take that very serious. Like if you had a pothole that was ruining people's tires and axles and you're like, hey, there's a pothole and it's destroying people's cars here. Right? Yeah. Are they like, oh, they told me about it, so now I'm liable. The next car that breaks, I'm going to have to pay for it. They're like, we'll get to it when we get to it. I don't care about your danger or damage to your car. You do it the second time, like, hey, I'm still reminding you again. Now, if they don't come out and fix that pothole that's wrecking people's cars, do you think they should be liable? Do you think if, like I complain all the time about when government doesn't get something right? I was going to. I think it was Chicago one time, and I pulled into a dump off of a bunch of lanes of traffic into a toll booth. right? And when I got there, there were 1,000 cars in queue. And I was going to wait 30 minutes to get through this toll. Now, if it were a business and then you just didn't do it right, you weren't efficient, you didn't get these cars through in a reasonable amount of time, what would you do as a business? You'd be like, go through, right? It's our fault. We can't get to you reasonable. But what they do, they made sure every car waited and paid that freaking toll. And I don't care if I made any of you late to get where you were going.
Yeah.
That's the government philosophy.
You know what Chick-fil-A did one time?
What's that?
Quick story. This is many, many years ago down south. I didn't live too far from a Chick-fil-A, and I went to get lunch one day and went through the drive-thru, ordered, that'll be whatever, please pull forward. I go up to the window and I hand them my card and they're like, our card reader is actually down right now. It's cash only. So here's your lunch. And I said, oh, I don't have any cash to give you. They're like, that's okay. It's our problem. Lunch is on us.
There you go. That's business.
Yeah. I was like, that is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in that line, they didn't even say it when you ordered. They let you order. And if you get to the window and all you had was a card, instead of saying, sorry, cash only, they're like, not a problem. It's on us today.
Yep.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm like, that is business. I told everybody, I not to go take advantage of them, bring cash with you, but how great that was that they did that. I was like, I'm going to give you all my business.
Yep. You know, since yesterday we talked about Social Security, it's one of those issues that every stinking time we mention on the show, the dogma of Social Security acolytes always flood my messages and tell me how wrong I am about Social Security. I don't want to rehash yesterday because, you know, I'm right. You're freaking wrong. And there's no more that I can say that are going to bring you out of the church of Social Security and be reasonable about this. But I do have to mention, because it's been in my brain circulating and I have to put it somewhere. So I might as well here.
Yeah.
So there are two main reasons that Social Security fails. And all I want to do is throw it out there, right? Tell you that's why it's failures. Because yesterday, Matthew said that the reason Social Security fails is because we're not taxing billionaires, right? And then somebody told me yesterday the reason Social Security is failing is because rich people, they stop paying Social Security tax after their first $1 million, right? They pay nothing on from $1 million up. Okay. So this was on the income side, right? So when you collect it, problem is you're looking at the mechanism, what is Social Security, and you're missing two elements. And Bernie Madoff is sort of the spokesperson for this. Social Security is a pyramid scheme. Okay. It is a literal mathematical pyramid scheme. So you get a group of people, right?
Yeah.
And they pay all this money into it. And then they graduate into their later years and then they collect it. So the people that are paying in right now, right? The way it's functioning right now are paying for the people who retired. And so you might ask, well, the money that people paid in when they entered it, where did that money go? Because there weren't people ahead of them to pay for. Their money should have sat there for 40 plus years waiting for them as it grew in value, right? So politicians, right? They're like, hey, look at all this money that's just accumulating in this box over here for Social Security. I know what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to spend it on projects today, right? And how are you going to pay it back when somebody needs it? I know. I'm going to issue savings bonds. I'm going to sell a bond to somebody. That's going to be my IOU. And then I'm going to be able to pay with the bond that I just sold. And then you ask, well, how are you going to pay for that bond when it becomes mature? I'll sell more bonds, right? So we have a double-ended pyramid now. So so if we would have done different things, here's what we would have done. The first layer of entered in Social Security would have taken that money over the years, and where we would have put it, we'd put it in. What we did do is we put it in liabilities that the government created. We spend $1, and it creates no net value and no return. It just goes into the ether to pay to a program that never has the ability to pay it back. Versus we put it in the capital markets, right? We put it in the capital markets, and then over a 40-year period of time, what you put in, like every 20 years or every 10 years, it doubles. So by the time you go to collect it, the money you put in there will have grown in exponential dividends or what's that called? names escape me, but anyway, the percentage you grow year over year, and then there's much more money than you put there in the beginning, and most of that money you won't be able to use up in that years. You'll get a return on what you put in there. Your checks will be bigger into Social Security. The real question is not not what we should have done if we had a time machine and could go back in time. What do you do with it right now? And the only answer is raise these taxes on rich people and fill in the negligence of the politicians who wrecked a system that at least could have worked if they would have followed the freaking rules. And or let my kid bail out of a system right now because it's stupid and it's a terrible investment product.
Yeah, if this next generation is required, you have no choice. You are required by law to pay into this. Mm-hmm. And when it is your turn to collect, sorry, we weren't very good with your money and we don't have it to give to you back. Is that not basically theft?
Yeah. If a broker did it, they have a fiduciary responsibility where they place your money, and they can't just go borrow from other people. That's what Bernie Madoff did. So he basically set up a scheme where new incoming money would pay ridiculous returns to people who are already receiving. He used the evidence that people were making these big returns to attract more money. And he was spending everything in between. He only needed 5% of the people to make it big to sell the next generation of his pyramid scheme to buy into something that was paying ridiculous returns. That's what Social Security is doing. You are not making returns in Social Security. It's just another benefit program, another entitlement where we're using bond payments, where we're issuing new debt to be able to borrow from these people to give you a completely fabricated return that doesn't even exist.
It's just a way that people that in government can do things with your money.
Yeah.
I want to do this. How do I fund it?
Steal from rich people and then misappropriate incoming bond money and spending it on, even today. They're going to take Social Security money. It gets put into the general fund, and they're going to do the same shit that led to this freaking today. So not only is it not solved, not only is it going to be depleted, not only you're not going to be able to take enough money away from billionaires to be able to fund what you've done, you have to completely, and I know the boomers are going to freaking hate this because they have a promise from the government that they're going to pay this money, but it is literally not going to be there.
It's interesting. I just read an article yesterday. Have you heard how Forbes has just released its list of new billionaires? There have been 390 new billionaires just recently added to this list of,
I think that's amazing.
How long.
Our economy is great.
390 new billionaires. And it includes people like director James Cameron from Avatar. Federer, is that a tennis player, something? Federer, Beyonce, and Dr. Dre are now considered billionaires. And I kept thinking of Matthew, like, any of these people's products, are you buying? Are you supporting? Are you investing in? And then they become a billionaire. And then are you mad that now they're on this list?
So do you think you could say it? And thank you.
Thanks.
So do you think you could say, like, hey, there are almost 400 new billionaires. And to some people, they're like, wow, we live in the greatest country in the world that can give regular people, everyday people, the chance to grind it out for maybe decades and become a billionaire too. Or to some people, like, this is evidence that we are slaves to money and whatever. You can have a villain and a hero in that statement.
Yeah. Because again, all those people now on the list, I don't think anybody would give hate for. It's easy to sort of hate the maybe like entrepreneur you don't know a lot about.
Well, envy is a vice, and a lot of people are jealous of other people's success. Now, the real argument is the concentration of wealth by inauthentic means. Okay? Authentic means is you evaluate everything a person did over their life and you see how they assembled wealth. And it means like, holy shit, they were patient. They did a smart thing. They were successful. And that was the result of it. And then you have billionaires that are inauthentic. And you look at what they did and you're like, they became a billionaire doing that. And then you're like, okay, well, we do live in a corrupt capitalist society, but not the way that our fellow leftists would say. We live in a reward behaviors that aren't authentic. We give money to people who don't deserve it. So if you think a politician that did the politicianing and became a $40 million net worth, if you think being a politician is a sacrifice enough to become a multimillionaire, that's where it's wrong. We do not.
Yeah.
Now, if you said a teacher who was the best teacher, ranked top 5 and whatever, became a millionaire, now I'm listening because somebody did achieve great heights in spite of something being hard. But if you just get elected for something and you spend 40 years there and you accumulate, that's not real. That is not in a real world.
Yeah. Patricia says, once you've earned $176,000 in a year, the Social Security tax stops being deducted for that year.
As it should. And I think and really what that means is Social Security, you're putting money away and it's been designated $176,000. You'll never in a 10 lifetimes be able, let's just say you taxed all the way up to $1 million. Well, you're a millionaire. You've probably got other assets over the course of your life. You're not going to need Social Security, but we're going to cap it at 176 because you're never going to really need to collect Social Security anyway. In fact, half of those people don't bother even registering and getting those checks when they get there. So they're dumping money in and never expecting a return on it anyway.
So I'm confused. Once you get to 176,
yes,
they stop taxing your money.
Yes.
Why?
Because you're not going to collect the benefit. You're actually overpaying and putting money in that you are not going to receive later in life.
How is that different from somebody who makes way less, not ever getting it when it's messed up? Like, well, you're not going to collect the benefit.
No, I say they're never going to collect it, not because it's not going to be there. There's no need in it. So they're paying into a safety net that they're never going to use the safety net. They're paying for something they're never going to get.
So it's like,
this is a donation.
It's kind of the one virtuous thing maybe that they'll do is they'll say, I know you don't need this, so don't bother paying into it.
Well, they are paying into it up to 176.
Up to that much, yeah.
And they're never going to collect it. So they're basically buying something.
Oh, so they're giving it away.
They're basically giving it away. Now, some of them even though they don't need it, they're like, well, I paid into this sucker. I'm going to get my $176,000 worth
so they
of it.
Still can.
And they are entitled to it. But most of them do not.
So it's not like they're
I'm not
saying
most of it. That's inaccurate.
It's not like they're saying we're going to cap it because you can't touch this anyways. Thanks for your donation. It's you can still take it back and we're going to cap it.
It was never intended to be a supplement for people who are already wealthy. So taxing up to 176 then takes the people who aren't going to be using that service anyway and making sure they're not paying into something that they absolutely don't need.
It's kind of making sure your money isn't going to somebody else. You're keeping it. Because ideally, if they're paying into it and the government's using it,
they're buying a service that they do not need or don't really need to collect. So why pay up to $100 million when what would happen in the future if you made it $1 million? Well, what would happen is that's a huge investment into Social Security. Then all of those billionaires would collect what they're entitled to. What would that do to the stresses of Social Security when they have Yeah, exactly.
So it's a protective measure.
It wasn't intended to be that because it was never the way we're using it was never intended to be. It should not be the sole income for people to live on for the rest of their life. It is a supplemental that after your regular pensions and your side hustles and every other asset that you created over your lifetime, here's a little bit because as you age, you're not capable of doing more. So we're going to give you 10% of your income in this Social Security thing. You shouldn't be living on the entire thing.
But the same you could say for anybody else paying into it is we shouldn't have to do this. Like you said, why can't we take our money, invest it elsewhere, let it work for us?
The dependency on it is a social failure, not a success. And liberals say that is one of the biggest successes in our economy because we created a safety net for people who just can't figure out how to trade time for money.
So really, it's bad for everyone. The only advantage millionaires have is they have the opportunity to sort of opt out of the failure once they reach a certain point.
I think millionaires and billionaires should be able to just say, I don't want anything to do with it. Don't take anything. I'm not going to expect anything at the end. This is just keep this amongst the people.
Well, shouldn't anybody be able to say that?
Everybody. I think there should be an absolute opt-out of Social Security.
So technically, it sounds like it really is unfair. to an extent.
To force somebody to make an investment? Oh, yeah. No, that should be illegal as hell.
And if you can make enough money to free yourself, you can buy your way out of having to do it.
That's right.
Everybody else not making that much money, they don't have the luxury of buying their way out.
Just remember, when Social Security was implemented, the industries were back-breaking, soul-wrenching types of jobs.
Yeah.
So you were
going to break your body down.
You didn't want to bail out. You really couldn't stay in the workforce any longer. Well, now I think working keeps the elderly more healthy than sitting at home and watching Price is Right. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody I see who bails out or is used to working really hard and then goes into whatever, their health goes way down. So my theory is if you can get people off of that tit and stop Social Security being their primary method of income, and then force that money that's being gobbled up into a system that's just creating more government waste, that money in the economy will do things like create jobs. There'll be extra money. So that you create jobs for people that elderly can absolutely, I mean, we waste so much wisdom in the elderly that have no connection to helping other generations in their expertise and everything that they've gathered. They need to be in public, interfacing with people, sharing their wisdom and making the society better. Them bailing out and going into becoming a hermit somewhere does nothing to perpetuate wisdom and intelligence forward.
So if we crashed it, if we took it away for like, you know what? Nobody has to do this anymore. Take your own money, pull it out, and go do with it what you want. What would fail? What would crush? What sort of things? So
right now there are more. We're still at a positive where the people paying in are covering today's recipients. But we're watching as the baby boomers and the generation, less people paying in. Right now, I think we're at 1.2, right? So $1.2 are being paid in for every dollar that's being used by recipients. That number will go where it's 0.7, are paying in for every dollar that's being spent. And now
we're losing.
Now we're going to debt territory where the money's not sitting in a pile where we could just take the money that's been building up over the years and start distributing it. They need that money to make today's current payments, and that's bankruptcy right there.
Yeah.
They will not be able to make outgoing payments because there's not enough coming in to pay it out. And you don't make it solvent in any, clear way. There's no good way to make it solvent. So if you started letting kids opt out, well, guess who those kids are? They're the payers that need to sustain the system into the 2030s. If you do that and let them opt out, then it's dead like tomorrow. Like that number will drop precipitously. So it's a dead duck program. Nobody wants to be holding that baton when the music stops. I mean, that was a mixed metaphor. Nobody wants to be, in the chair.
And really, the only one protected from any detriment is anyone over 176.
Yeah,
because
but you have to pull the Band-Aid off, let it fail, but have a reason or have a method for taking current recipients and making them whole for a period of time. And once they age out of the system and get in the ground, then they disappear. The middle part, who haven't collected, but they paid in all of these years, you'd have to figure out a way to finance those. But you have to have a stop where, say, 2030, there will be zero new people paying into it. They will all be on their own account. So they'll take the same money that they were giving in Social Security. They'll be funding their own untouchable accounts from the government. And that pain between those probably 30 years of huge deficits for the what was I going to say?
Huge deficits for the
payouts, the recipients for today. You'd have 30 years of pain, right?
Yeah.
But as I said, using when the new generation stop paying into Social Security and start putting it in to their own accounts, and those accounts are backed by securities like bonds and mutual funds and all of that kind of stuff. That's new money that goes directly into the economy. Companies then have more cash to be able to, expand and hire people and whatever, and have a really big growth curve. So you're going to work the instant debt and instant huge responsibility on taxpayers to fund this until the economy picks up to a point where the extra money that's in the economy creates enough tax revenue to fill in that gap. And that's where experts have to say, like, okay, you're going to have a down without this going up yet. And then you're going to have the up that needs to throttle it. And there's going to be a year where they equal out. And then once that happens, then they're going to go in this direction. But
was Trump's idea about giving this money, all these new accounts to the new babies?
That is first step.
That's a step
That's
towards
the step
this?
to establishing those accounts. And once you have an account, then it would be really easy to say your birth account is now your Social Security account that nobody else can touch.
That sounded like a good idea.
It is a very good plan. But again, there's nobody in Congress, there's no politician that is going to pick up this baton of telling the taxpayer that they're about to drop, $30 trillion of responsibility of Social Security on the taxpayer. 30 trillion would crush you.
Yeah. Julie says, we don't care if you are a billionaire as long as you are paying the taxes under the same guidelines as the non-billionaire.
They are. It's illegal not to, so they are.
They are.
The misunderstanding of how billionaires have their assets allocated is misunderstood by everyone who makes that charge. The only thing I will agree with is there's this shady thing that you could do it too, right? So you're saying it applies to everyone. You could do this tomorrow. So a lot of billionaires, right? They hold their, like, being a billionaire and collecting a paycheck, two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So if a billionaire has $1 billion but pays himself 10,000, what should he pay in taxes?
That of the 10,000.
Right. So you don't get to tax the billion. The billion was accumulated differently, usually through accumulation of stocks and equity and
assets
in companies, right?
Yeah.
And so then you're like, oh, that's a cash pile, and liberals want to go after the cash pile. So then you have to invent something new. Now, the one shady thing is that billionaires can take compensation, borrow against it for their living expenses, use their assets liquidation to pay back those loans, and the money that they drafted through that loan is non-taxable. So if I wanted to live a $2 million a year lifestyle and I had a bunch of assets that were $100 million, I can get away with paying no taxes by issuing a loan, a traditional loan, and paying it off, and I paid zero income taxes when your living expenses should come from some kind of payroll. So I will agree that's the one, what do they call that when they give them
loophole?
A loophole? They're taking advantage that is available to everybody with assets, and it's a way of circumventing paying living expenses taxes like the rest of us.
But anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it, and I want that thing to go away. But I don't know if there are other segments of our population that aren't abusing that plays a role in economic development or lifestyles of elder. I don't know who else is using this besides billionaires, but it's so common that there are a bunch of people I don't know about that are using it. I want to make sure if we get rid of it for the billionaires that those people aren't affected by it.
So then what about realized gains?
Realized gains are always taxed.
Realized gains, am I understanding this correctly? Is it basically when you have these assets that are valuable, you may not have like money in hand, but the value is in this thing.
That's unrealized.
That's unrealized. Yeah. Do you get taxed on unrealized gains?
No, they're trying for that.
Okay, that's what I think I'm confused about.
Yeah.
So
we'll do it in terms of a house, right? Mm-hmm. So you buy a house for $200,000 and you paid your taxes on it. It's $200,000. You live in it for 10 years. Now it's worth $400,000. All right. That's a snapshot of what it would be if you were to sell today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you didn't sell today.
I get those emails all the time. Yeah.
It's still your house. Right. Now, what they want to do is they want to pretend that you sold your house, send you a tax bill for the increased value of your house, right? As if you sold it. But what happens if the market crashes and goes back to 2000? Do they issue a check for the taxes that you paid on the unrealized income? Yeah. And now, since it's worth less, they give you some of that back. That's not going to be part of those.
Yeah. So like we built a house a few years ago and I get a regular email stating, here's the new value of your property. Here's the new value of your home. And I'm like, sweet, it's now worth more than we paid to build it. That's nice. But we have no intentions of ever leaving this house. This is our forever home. But if they can keep taxing us on that email, potentially, and we're not making any more money, you could put us out of our home. Yep. Because we can't afford it anymore.
So if somebody has $1 billion worth of stock and they sell a chunk of it, then they're taxed on the realized gains. They take what they bought that chunk of stock for and the difference between the increased value, and you're taxed at like 24%. I think it's if you sell a stock within a year of purchasing it, it's a higher rate. But if you've owned it for a long period of time, it's like 24%.
Yeah. So why would I just not pay anything? And if we decide, yes, we're going to go ahead and sell this, here's the value of it, then I'm taxed on what I'm selling it for.
Yeah. And when you roll this down, like there are really good accountants that charge a lot of money to strategize to limit the amount of taxes that you are taking. And it's their job, right? So if you take loopholes out of the tax deal, yes, you're going to collect more taxes because you've taken those away, but you're going to take an expertise, a professional expertise, and make their value and what they can charge and what they can actually do as a service to customers and eliminating it from the marketplace. So yes, you can create more liabilities by collecting more taxes. At the same time, you've eliminated a specialty out of your economy. I don't think you know what that reduction is going to do as that waterfalls into different economies.
So complicated.
Yeah.
Emmanuel says, Social Security is confusing, to me at least. I'm very old school. I don't want to rely on money that I haven't worked for. If I don't see it, I don't have it. Investing my money is an extension of money I've worked for, whether it flourished or not.
Yeah, and Social Security, the goal is to keep it hidden from you, so it just comes out of your check and you don't even know you have it. You're not checking your balance of what's entitled to you like every Saturday and watching your portfolio grow, and you're not paying attention to your net worth. That's the government's goal, is to keep you hidden, and so that it can dick around with your money and you won't ever notice. You won't know if they, like what happens if you put your money in the bank and the bank was like, hey, I'm going to go on vacation and take some of Joe's money. Well, next time I look at my balance, I'm going to be like, hold up, dude.
Where's my money?
Where's my money? Well, the government's being that asshole on a regular basis, spending all of your money, thinking that they're going to tax into billionaires to make up for their frivolous, lifestyle choices. And then if they keep it hidden from you, you'll never be mad at them. You'll be mad at billionaires.
Yeah. That way, if someone's like, I came up with this amazing idea, like, I don't know, a way to make headlights less bright. I made billions off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, thanks for that. You're now going to start paying to pay for all of
Cover
us.
the reckless behavior of people who are bad at math.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like fair. And that's why I disagree with it. Legitimate, honest, rules for all people is all I'm ever fighting for. That's the real justice. And all this backbiting for people who aren't us, the envy and the greed and all that kind of stuff, that, just it hurts my heart.
Yeah. Ralph says, if they take it out of general fund and put all the money they stole out of Social Security back in, there would not be gripping the band. Oh, they wouldn't be ripping the Band-Aid off.
And if that money was actually somewhere where they can claw it back and put it in there, it's not like you're going to go to your representatives and say, open your wallets, let's pay this shit back. They have long spent it on programs that resulted in zero net gain for anybody, and it's been lit on fire. It's gone. There's nothing to claw back. So if you tightened the belt and said no new spending, and we dedicated $1 trillion a year just to make Social Security solvent by cutting all programs, there's not enough in any of the budgets that anybody would be happy about. So there's no, it's to a problem, or to a point that the problem is so big, there isn't a rational or reasonable way to fix this without a Band-Aid pull.
How did we get here in such a state that things like this, things like term limits, let's say the American people were like, all of you representatives should have term limits to solve all these other problems. But the people who vote for that are the ones that would be affected by it, so they can say no. The people that should be doing this are the ones who vote on it, so they can say no. Like, when did we become hostages of our government? Was this something that sort of nefariously developed over time? Was it out of good intentions so that we don't get hurt by this? Here's the guideline, but then the guideline got out of hand. Like, how did we get here?
This and I think about this, whether or not this was orchestrated by big brains that set up this whole manipulation and whole propaganda and structured the system so that this would be the result, or without that, if this is just a natural sum of human nature. And I most of the time I'm on there is not, I don't think that there's a nefarious group of people who are pulling the levers. I just don't think people are smart enough or have the patience to do what's happening. I think this is a natural. I give it a 75%. It's just naturally occurring, and civilizations will always end up here. 25% that there's the Illuminati who are back there really calling the shots.
Yeah, because I mean, anytime we even vote someone new into the White House and we're like, oh, we need someone new that'll do this and think like this. You know, everyone was like, well, Trump's a businessman and he'll run it like a business, so we can't fail. But then you start to see all these ways that the cards are always stacked against anyone who wants to change it.
That's why I say it's naturally occurring, because I think the same phenomenon would happen in your household, and you know you're not being ruled by the Illuminati.
Yeah. It's like, I'd love to do this, but then it'll affect this.
Then you get stuck, and all you have is bad choices, and your job is to run for office and make people like you, and you got to get them to vote for you in spite of you not being able to come through on something. So you create justification and then systemic reinforcements that then make the case for how it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And then you have, from the time I was a kid, hearing about Social Security, about term limits, and never being able to actually change or fix any of that stuff. But it's always an issue that's really important. And even if you don't do it, I'm still going to vote for you.
Yeah. Like, how is it we fight about taxing billionaires when we literally have a system that's like, you know what? I don't like the fact that if I don't go to work, I don't get paid. And that I could lose my job if I don't do my job. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run for a position in government, a servant position, except I can make a shit ton of money. I could not show up, I can shut down the whole government and I'm not going and I still get paid. I could not do what I'm supposed to do and I still get paid. You can't vote me out. I'm here for however long I want to, and I can make other money on the side in addition to my $1 million salary here, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that we're cool with. We're totally fine with saying, let's put people into a government position that was meant to serve the country and let them take every privilege they want to get wealthy with zero repercussions. Nobody cares.
Yep.
But a musician, an entrepreneur, a director, an athlete, now is a billionaire, and we'll hate on them all day long.
Yep. Successfully. But the pity that you have, the groups that have elicit some kind of empathy or pity for, right? Is it really hard for normal people to feel bad that you stole from a billionaire? I mean, then look at literature from, the King's days. Robin Hood's a thing.
Yeah.
Robin Hood's a thing where he was the actual effing hero. So having a little guy look up at somebody, a big guy, taking something, even if it's through means that are not great means, it feels good almost that you created a justice, especially if you have all of these people telling you billionaire equals bad, no matter what.
Yeah. Robin Hood, it was okay that he robbed people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Emmanuel says, I believe Trump is trying to pass something now to have a third term. I don't know how true it is, but what are your thoughts on it? No, he's not going to do a third term. That is a liberal thing that to scare people and do the no kings thing. And he's a tyrant. And
Trump, true to Trump form, will play into this.
100%.
Oh, I think I should. It would be great. I should come back for a third.
So be prepared for the next 2.5 years for the I heard a rumor stuff is going to continue to circulate because the brain dead Democrats are just relentless when it comes to making charges that they have no basis in, but it's effective politically. So, and
even if, let's say things got turned around in bizarro world and we found ourselves legal to now run for a third term, that still then heavily relies on if he's voted in for a third term. If people don't like it, don't vote for him. It's almost like this argument is this: Trump's trying to run for a third term as though he's a shoo-in. And if he is, what does that tell you? And if he's not, why are you scared? It's just the biggest scare tactic.
Let's take it serious and make it a curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
The people, anytime anybody says he's going to run for a third term, and I would like to then extend our founding documents, read through them, and what would be required? What would be the machine? What would have to happen in order for a third term to be something that could happen? There's only 3 circumstances that I know that would allow an extended term. It's happened twice in the past, right? Our system changed rules to allow or disallow, but it wasn't an easy process to get term limits term limit put on in the first place. And then the adjacent how many terms you can serve was another change that happened. There has to be a lot of will. Now, do you think you could put together the will to say Trump is so amazing, there isn't any other person on this planet that can continue how good things really are? Do you think that you can put a group together big enough to change the actual Constitution to allow a third term? If they can say, well, yeah, he's got the will to do it, then that's the process. That's due process that we've been fighting for. If they don't, then you can short circuit it. You can create a crisis that doesn't necessarily extend into a third term, but you can delay the next presidential election cycle. If there were a war or a catastrophe so big, then it would not behoove you to have an election in the midst of. So that is very unlikely to happen. That's the one I'm more willing to listen to.
I could see somebody saying, well, that's what he would do.
Okay, but that's a charge.
Fair point.
Right? So if you start seeing that end up, so let's just say there was a world war, all right, and laws were kind of martial law, whatever was happening. Let's just say a war visited the United States, and now it's just there's a safety issue. There's no voting that's going to happen. We're in crisis. Now, what would happen is Congress would have to suspend regular protocol, the congressional makeup right now. So you could create the circumstances that it's more likely that Congress would suspend, the actual rules to go there. But again, the participation, I think it's 66%. They would have to have a super majority of Congress say, holy shit, yeah, we whatever. So you'd have to have both, create the crisis, and then take lots of Democrats and have them come to the conclusion that an election is not in our best interest. And I don't see that happening. Even if there was a crisis, you would have those Democrats say, nope, we're having a freaking election.
Yeah. And that's why, Julie says, it's not a rumor. He said it. Steve Bannon says there's ways to do this.
They're effing with you guys.
Don't allow yourself to be trolled by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Let's go here for a little bit. I feel like people think sometimes we maybe give him the benefit of the doubt and too much credit. So let's bash Trump for a second. Did you see his comments on Massey when he's like, who is that guy? What's he even doing here? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how you feel about Massey or whoever the heck he's running against and what all that stuff is or not. But just his speech is so clear. He's loyal to whoever can benefit him. And the moment they push back or second guess him or maybe say, I support something else over your idea, like a child, he then kicks them to the curb.
Correct.
This is what he does. This is what the trolling, the comments under his breath, the insults he hurls at people, oh, you're cool. Oh, you don't like what I did? You're no longer cool. This is him. Don't allow yourself to be trolled by Donald Trump.
But at the same token, his personality, that if he floats something as a joke and he sees that he's got massive support, he will absolutely pull that lever.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, he does not have that support, and there isn't anybody that's taking it serious except for the Democrats, who he said the thing that they were fearful of. So on that one, he's absolutely telling the truth, and they run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, he can be a bully. I think he finds it funny
it's a shtick, and I don't like that about him. Yeah. And most people tolerate that part of his personality for his effectiveness and the things that really matter. And that's really all it is. It's a compromise. But if it were a different person in there, we'd be making a different set of compromises. So,
yeah. Ralph says, is President Johnson in 1969 did not take Social Security out of its own fund and put it in general fund, you would not have this problem today.
100% right. It would have been in a lockbox. It would have been untouchable by Congress. It would have been, and even if you never invested a penny, all you did was retain what was paid in, no interest whatsoever, and you just contained it. It would be better off than having a negative number, because we pay interest on the bonds that we issue to pay for those programs that drained what that Social Security fund would be. And so there would be no interest on it. It wouldn't be generating interest on it. But there would be a pile of cash that would buy us a really, really, really long time. you couple that with, and my suggestion was privatize it, or take some of that cash and, sort of decentralize it and give really, really good investors 1 year, like give them $1 billion out of the fund, have them invest it. And if they give you a positive gain of 25% or better on it, they get to do it again. If they lose money or doesn't move any, somebody else is given the opportunity to try to grow it. And it's decentralized to give a lot of different private agencies the chance of growing the initial, income, the fund, into more than it was before. And that way you don't have it all balled up in one entity that could, can ruin it and misspend it and do all kind of shady shit, and then run a complete program with a lot of really skilled investors trying to make that fund even bigger than it is today.
Yeah.
That would be preferable.
Facebook media news is unreliable, but I figured the subject was hot enough to talk about. That's right, Emmanuel.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just have to get used to that. That's the argument I had about X being bought by Musk. And even people that are very reasonable have arguments back at me that I feel that X being purchased by Musk at the time that it was, at the time when they were banning people for their opinions and they were censoring the information that you can talk about, is curtailing any kind of discussion about things that actually mattered. They did it for righteous cause of misinformation. And if we believed that all they were doing was trying to suss out misinformation, that'd have been a completely different deal. And I would have trusted it. Cleaning up information means cutting out people who are legitimately just trying to manipulate, right? Mm-hmm. But they went beyond that and they cut out people that they disagreed with. And that's where they were wrong. They had the lever, they had the chance to do this right, and they effed it up. And now we don't trust them to ever become compromised, let political hands be in the decision-making. And now nobody trusts anybody to be that arbiter. Now, so what we're dealt with is messy information. Yeah. Nobody's paying attention to it on these sources because everybody's afraid that they're going to be considered a censor. Nobody's going to trust their outlets if that would ever happen. But anyway, so now we as a consumers have to go through the information and figure out what's true and what's not, which is a lot harder when we're inundated with so much. Mm-hmm. And so I think through AI, that'll get better. I think AI will be identified truly things that are fake, like pictures of people. The real dividing line, and I notice this a lot, and I'm thinking, like, how's the math going to figure this out? When somebody goes on social media and says something that is meant to be satirical, they're joking, right?
Yeah.
And how's
like the Onion or something?
How is AI going to differentiate between I was joking and this was meant to be taken in jest versus I was trying to spread misinformation? That's going to be a really hard line to figure out.
I saw an AI video a friend sent me yesterday, and it was a joke from Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and it was clearly AI. But the faces, AI's ability to make what looks like a human being now, skin with texture and pores, and it's getting good. Mm-hmm. I said, if this weren't so ridiculous and obviously AI, I would see those human beings in a video and think they were real, that they were real people. That's scary.
Yep. MAGAs want to be trolled. Is a troll what you want for a president? No. If Joe had a selection process for president, it would not be any of the people that we are delivered every single season. So until the opposition stop scaring off good people by trying to impugn their character, and you're trying to hurt their integrity, and people who actually matter, right? And people who are actually good will never run for politics, because what you put them through accusation wise to try to hurt them, and so you end up with a mudbuster like Trump. You created Trump, not me.
Do I want a troll? No. I also don't want a president that has an affair with an intern in the White House. I also don't want a president that will pardon people that shouldn't be, or a president that opens the borders and bribes criminals to come in.
These are not our picks. That is for sure.
Like, there's a lot of things I don't want in a president. But when you put things in place to make it so virtuous people with integrity get nowhere, then, okay, being a social media troll is now lower on my list of priorities.
Yeah, if it were a true meritocracy, we would get the best person on the planet as our or in our country, in our government, as acting as president, and things would be better off because we'd have smart people in those positions rather than people who just can play the game and get
people
elected.
that want to serve rather than just power hungry.
Right. But so long that you keep treating the candidates the way that you do, you're going to keep getting mud monsters on both sides.
Yep.
I'm in Massey's district. He ran as supporting Trump 100% and now votes against him all the time. Trump's endorsement got him the elected in the first place. The people here are furious at Massey. I am not. And just because somebody supports you, that you don't owe them loyalty when it comes to the function of your job. You have free will, and you have to act as the human being that you are, represent your constituents.
Yeah.
You're not then beholden to do and say everything Trump asks you to do. And I think that's bravery and courage. Now, I do believe that Massey says a lot of things for his own political expediency. He gets a lot of attention because pushing back on Trump, gives him tons of headlines, and he's playing the same game Trump does with the media.
Yeah.
And so, but 75% of the time he does support Trump. 25% he pushes back against, just like Fetterman pushes back against the Democrats. I have more respect for those people because they thumb in the eye. And I think more highly of them that they take the damage when they push against the people who help them get elected.
Yeah. I mean, if you were hired for a position and your boss is like, you're the best person for this, you're going to do an amazing job. You start working and then your boss does something and you're like, wait a minute, wasn't hired for that. This is what I'm doing.
Exactly.
That's wrong.
I'm not a bootlicker. I'm not just going to be a yes person.
You don't have to just conform and agree with everything.
But that's what Trump does, is he forces everyone around him in order to get preference, that you have to do and say everything that's complimentary to him.
How many
it's
people
one of the downsides.
Do you see him just talk up? They're the best, or they're great. They're going to do great things. I have my full trust in them. They're going to be the best at this position. And the moment they're like, sir, that's not cool. I don't agree with this. Oh, who are you anyways? You should have never been here.
He's a loser.
Oh, what a disappointment in this position.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But that's what and so if the Democrats want to, let's just say we have another Mitt Romney or someone whose soul is pretty pure, and they're one of the candidates. If the Democrats would just acknowledge the fact that, okay, Republicans put up somebody who's a really decent human being in comparison to everyone that we've seen in the last 20 years. I think he's virtuous, he's noble, he follows principles. He'll do a pretty good job. He's going to be a little vulnerable because he's not going to hit back in the climate that politicians hit at each other. And so we got to be a little more delicate so that if he wins, he can do a better job and we won't have this disaster that Trump. And then they can't contain themselves. They take the temptation. They go after Romney, and Romney's like, F this. And every other Romneys that come along are like, no way. Too much cost. I have zero chance of getting in there. So all you get, more mud monsters. And I've said it 4 times, but you kind of get the drift.
Julie says, so people are furious because Massey does not support pedos in government?
I don't know. That's why they're mad at Massey.
I don't know anything about that.
I think Massey and was it Ted Lieu? No, whoever that guy that is
I don't know his name.
that is hitting into it. They are staying on it and they are digging and they are pushing. So he is advocating for what we want to happen. And if he's causing some disturbances on the main strategy out of the administration, so effing be it. He is doing his job. If you're too much of a wussy to do your part on the executive side, you've got the legislative even takes a harder stance on it to get what we want, which is the voters to come out information-wise on Epstein.
Mm-hmm. Carter says he's not a pedo. That is ridiculous. He never said anything negative about Trump until after he was elected.
And that's why I give credence to that.
And there is sort of this line of, I'm the best person for the job. I was loyal until I saw something I could not go along with. Or is it somebody that was like, I said whatever they wanted to hear to get hired. And once I got it, all right, here's what I really think. Mm-hmm. 2 totally different things. And depending on where you are politically, you're going to believe one happened or the other happened.
And Carter, I think they said that pedos, plural, that we know that we have a pedophilial problem within Congress, people doing illegal things and being able to, cover it up. So I don't think, and I know a bunch of people that are liberals that I have pretty good relationships are stuck on this. Trump is a pedophile. They're making this absolute accusation that it has been determined by court and law enforcement that he is something that has only been alleged by anonymous sources who dropped cases. That is not good enough for me to take a title and say that somebody is something.
Yeah. Like if somebody's like, he's a 34 whatever time felon.
Asterisks.
And then I realized the felony was what he entered into, was it QuickBooks or something, or what he entered into an account?
So, expenses that were coded in their ledger as something that was wrong.
Yes.
An accounting
34 times
felony.
in this accounting
Yes,
program.
So his accountants are accounting felons.
So when you say he's a 34-time felon, as though he committed a heinous crime, 34 different crimes, falls flat when you're like, oh, you're talking about this one thing, but there were 34 entries in a software system.
Yes.
34 different felonies. To me, that's bullshit. You could say he's a felon and I'll listen to you. But the most that you say he's a 34-time felon, don't do that. Don't do that when we all know what that means.
Yeah.
And if that's what you have,
that was a political move, and it's a political felonies, not like real people felonies. Where it would be a real people felony would be if it were you and I, what would happen? How would it have been charged? How would it have been investigated? How would it be presented? And do you think that the president got a different, higher order of magnitude of attention in that department than we would have?
Just
Absolutely.
like they can get away with more, valid, I think they can be accused of more as well.
Right.
To make them look a certain
So
way.
I think it's bad. I mean, if you run a business and you're responsible, you've been doing it for years, and if you did this little, like, I don't think it was a mistake, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think the categorization was a mistake. Maybe it was, but even if it was a mistake, you're a big boy, you're running a big boy companies, you got to follow the rules with the rest of us.
Which is why if they're like, look what he did, I hear you. Not okay. But he did 34 crimes. No, he didn't.
34 of the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, this is where we differ, and we'll fight over semantics instead of the fact
Anyway,
that
that's
look
not
at what we
us
do.
defending him, right? That is us laying out the truth behind it, because there's a lot of people walking around that couldn't even tell you what the felonies were about.
When everybody starts saying, oh, he's a racist, I say, listen, there are so many things you could not like Donald Trump over. Pick one. There's a million things that I could never defend him for, but racist is just not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Quit pushing the button and it's not working because that one isn't true. Pick one that is.
Yep.
And then you don't have an issue.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
Carter says bingo, so good explanation. Ralph says, I think when it comes to bills, it should be limited to 5 pages and sent out by social media for the people to look at and agree on or disagree with, not the representatives. Yeah, these omnibus bills, holy shit. They are such a impractical way of passing bills. So I was around some legislators that were putting together entries into an omnibus bill, right?
Ew.
You know what an omnibus bill is?
Not really, no.
Okay. So what it used to do is they used to bring up individual bills before Congress, and then they would have debate, and then they would vote down just small bills, right? Small independent bills, where they were small enough that you can read it and know what you're voting on whenever. And then they got
like
the bright
one
idea,
topic.
and then they got the idea to jam hundreds of them together in a stack of documents like this, more information than the people voting on it could ever read, and making it such a big honeypot that if I wanted to slide my little funding bill in an omnibus bill, it would get lost. No one would ever notice that mine was in there, because on the summary page, it's such a small figure in the whole $1 trillion budget. They were like, oh, it's only $500 million. That's nothing percentage-wise of the whole bill. So it's a way, it's a scheme so that really things that would never have a chance to pass individually have a really good chance of passing when it's an omnibus.
And that's how you get the kick puppy situation.
100%.
I want to put this in place to help homeless. And I want to put this in place to serve our veterans. And I want $1 billion raise and to be able to kick puppies.
Exactly.
No, I'm not giving you that. Oh, I can't believe you hate the homeless and veterans.
That's exactly right. And so like what Ralph said is the complaints from Congress is that if you do every one of them, we have so much struggle in every one of them. This will take forever. We'll have to work really hard, really late nights. Man, we'll have to maybe do some weekend shifts here to get through all of these bills. If I put it in an omnibus bill, Like I can work 4 days a week or maybe even 2 days a week, vote on this sucker and take an extended vacation.
Yeah.
I want that one better.
Again, how did we get here? How is that even allowed?
Mm-hmm.
How did we go from here's a bill that makes sense and here's an omni bill?
They get away with it.
Was it to like, did they like maybe originally they thought to save time, let's do multiple causes
they can get
at
more done.
once?
They feel like if the legislature can get more stuff done, that they're serving the American people. And the omnibus bill lets them get more stuff done. They can pass 1,000
until
bills
it didn't, and now it's a problem
because nobody saw the glaring problem with creating a bill that's too big for anybody to comprehend or read.
Now nothing gets done.
Nothing gets done.
Oh, thank you, Carter. Kelin brightens my day on Sunny 100 too. Appreciate you, Carter. Julie says, we may not be math geniuses, Joe, but we can put 2 + 2 together. If you are a friend of the worst pedo in modern history, if you are mentioned at least, at least 38,000 times in the files, if you have a history of SA, if you hire porn stars, if you make comments about little girls, if you have been sued for SA by underage kids before, if you hide the files, you are probably a pedo.
Probably is a cool word by me. Like you can say it could be probability, it could be possibility, it'd be I wonder if, or I think he is. Those are all good words.
Yeah.
It's only when you drop the whole I might be wrong part of this out of the equation is when I get pushed. I push back.
Carter says blah, 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 Julie. Because again, we would say, look at evidence. How likely is it? Does his chances increase with all of the things she just said? Fair. If you can also keep in mind what we just said about because you're in position, can people make more accusations? Can people say that you did something when there was an
let's
explanation?
change it. Let's put this back on Julie. And this is not to be mean to you, Julie, but I just want you to juxtapose these two simple ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. We just went through the illegal immigrant thing and everybody universally said due process. We all believe in due process. You know, due process affords every single person that an accusation
doesn't live with you forever.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can say that I think something is something. I think Donald Trump is X. And I would say due process. Well, what is a due process? In our country, it is you're innocent, completely innocent until you are proven guilty by a jury of your peers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so I ask, if you accuse someone, should we not afford Donald Trump due process to have to answer to accusations with the same strength as a jury of peers came to some kind of agreement on?
Yeah. And I mean, we heard similar things about Biden. How many people said Biden was inappropriate with children and girls? And there was this information that came out that his own daughter like had in a diary that he was trying to shower with her and all kinds of creepy stuff. And it's like, if you support Biden, you don't pay attention to any of that. But you don't like Trump, so you keep throwing up things he was accused of. And then you wonder why people just get tired of hearing it. And that's the real crime, is when there is so much crying wolf and not acknowledging, well, if this person did something shady, then this person maybe did something shady. Or if this person was accused of something as a political tactic and that was it, then maybe this person is being accused as a political tactic. When you don't give the grace or the suspicion to both sides, you're now the boy who cried wolf. You're now in a position that nobody cares to hear about it anymore. And that's dangerous because if it is a true accusation, we're numb to it. We don't even care. What else is new?
So Julie says, how do you have due process when you are in charge of your own due process? Well, that is the argument. If you want to know, then you don't say, in spite of not having any due process, I'm going to believe it anyway. It's you use the Tom Masseys and the John Fettermans that if you really believe it and there is enough evidence to do it, you force due process to happen. So you say, I want to know this. And then you put political force behind knowing the truth. You don't do that if you want to hang the accusation without it actually coming. So like, for instance, the George Floyd stuff. It was more powerful to have George Floyd and the narrative happen without seeing the actual things that worked against what you thought was going to happen. You didn't want to bring to light the actual details. So if somebody accused you of something, right? And they said, Kelin, I saw Kelin do this. And what would you want? What do you want the rest of the system to do if that person is accusing you of something? Do you want to know their name?
Investigate it. Yeah.
So anonymous source is suspect, right?
Yeah.
How about if they recant or drop the charges?
Yeah.
Like happened remember the lacrosse players and the accusations that happened there?
Oh, yeah.
Right. We have a lot of people who anonymously accuse a lot of things, and they're allowed to be protected by the shroud of the Department of Justice, and then they can hide in that forever and nothing ever comes of it.
Yeah.
So dig through that trove of why innocent people who are accused of things are able to be sacrificed for that political strategy.
Does the accuser benefit somehow by accusing me? Are they getting something out of this?
Somebody gets a sports contract and somebody comes out of the woodwork and says he sexually assaulted me 9 years ago. That's suspicious to me. Why about the timing? What about it? A payoff can happen maybe when they get a big contract and all of a sudden something happened that may or may not have happened. Right. But you're trying to get a payoff. And now my brain processes this as what would be the inspiration for doing this thing right now.
Yeah.
And that's the math that goes behind this. So,
I mean, I could even see like someone in a position of power having an inappropriate relationship with someone. That someone is willing because, someone of power. Why would I not? Let's go have a whatever. But then when it benefits someone and they can turn around and say, this was against my will and they abused me. So that's a situation where here's some truth. A relationship was had. But now, is it criminal or not?
Exactly. That's what due process would figure out. Is this something like, Urban Meyer, for instance? Do you remember what happened with him in the bar down in Columbus? I think it was Urban Meyer. Dude, Urban, I'm so sorry if you were not.
Oh, no, we can accuse Urban Meyer.
I don't want to be sued by Urban Meyer.
No.
Please let it be, because
Urban Meyer could be totally fine. Yeah.
Bar in Columbus.
Sort of. It does sort of sound familiar, though. Columbus restaurant goes viral. Apologize, family, being a distraction.
Okay. So anyway, he's an older gentleman, famous football coach, goes to a bar. Some young chick who is, a couple strads above his league at the time, gets all handsy with him, and they have some touching when he's a married dude and whatever, and it was caught on camera, right? So the attention that people in public get tempted by, when you look at everything that happened, was it just a misbehaving person or was it illegal? Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I could have floated that whole story and said, Urban Meyer sexually assaults a girl at a Columbus bar. Right. Mm-hmm. And due process would have put the entire story through the court system, figured out if this was a criminal matter where the dude should go to jail for it or punishment for it or whatever, or it's just a guy that made some mistakes and his family's not going to be happy about it, but shouldn't be, deprived of his job or shouldn't go to jail or anything like that. And that's where a lot of these things get to hang in it. Do I believe Trump sexually misbehaved throughout his freaking career? I absolutely do. Do I think he raped people? That charge requires that you show me some evidence that there was things beyond rape or beyond just sexual, relationships with someone that went to rape or assault.
Yeah.
I'm using these words that the algorithms don't like, so I apologize, BJ.
Yeah. Julie says, Kelin, all those accusations about Biden were investigated. His daughter says that was not what her diary said. Right. I'm not saying it's true.
We've never repeated it because it's in the same strata.
Yeah. I said, here are things we all heard.
Yep.
We all hear things about all of these people all the time. But what you choose to believe, if it feels like what you choose to believe is simply because you don't like that person and you put the benefit of the doubt on somebody else, that's just not consistent.
Yeah, that's what we pointed out with Matthew about how it always cuts in that.
Yeah, Julie says, direction. Kids, Kelin, kids. That would be absolutely illegal. Illegal and wrong. Not what we're talking about. We're talking about getting accused of something in a situation with an adult that could be, like you said, was this just a situationship of two consenting adults and now somebody can benefit from it? So should we question that? when you look at the timing and who it was and the circumstances around it? Or do you just hear this person's a sleazeball? Because I don't like him.
Yeah. The Mike Pence law. I think every politician, I think it should be mandated as a politician, you follow the Mike Pence law. And it's just 2 simple steps, right? Number 1 is you are never in a room alone with a person of the opposite sex ever. Doesn't get in a car, doesn't get into a room, doesn't ever, never will he be accused of having a sexual assault because he's never alone with a woman other than his wife.
A lot of doctors do that. As a politician, you might want to adopt that.
There is sometimes where I will see people doing cameras are rolling while they're doing photos with groups of people and whatever. And, I've seen it with Biden where the touches and, one side will say that he touches people like a grandfather would do a grandchild and there wasn't anything sexual in there. And other people are like, this guy's creeping, look at him touching faces and kissing cheeks and whatever. Well, the rule is that you don't do that stuff with people, no matter who they are, except for your family. That would be a second rule, that don't have affectionate touching, whether it be a coworker or a constituent or just somebody taking a photo with you. Keep your effing hands off of people.
Yeah, because I was one of those people that would always defend Biden. Oh, what a creeper. He's smelling their hair. He's being whatever. To me, it didn't come off as like a pedo or creepy.
But it was too much for a politician.
Yes, but to say shouldn't have done anything, fair.
Okay.
Agreed.
You're walking down the street and you meet someone, just whatever, and you introduce your daughter to just a random guy on the street. He comes over and gives your daughter a hug and kisses her on the head.
Weird.
Is he a creep?
Yes.
So why is Biden not a creep when he does the exact same thing, but he's just a different?
It's inappropriate. For sure.
Is it inappropriate for Biden?
Do I think it's a pedophile-like move? It may not be. Is it inappropriate? Yes.
Okay. So no inappropriate anything.
Yeah.
Outside,
don't touch people.
Don't touch them.
Have you even seen, like, is it Keanu Reeves, I think, that says, like, when he takes pictures with fans and they go like this, he doesn't actually touch them.
Yeah, that is smart.
You don't
move.
actually touch anybody. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if you're an entertainer, you could probably get away with, grab asses and too tight of hugs and whatever, and nobody's going to tell on you. But that's the misbehaviors where they're not protecting themselves against accusations, or they're just trying to be a creeper and get feels that they aren't entitled to.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get much compassion for creepy people doing creepy things. Inappropriate
Creepers. Creepy things. Have you read any of the files?
Yeah,
God help me, I did.
The files, you got to look through the prism of what you're actually reading. Like if you are reading in a document testimony from someone, that is a person talking to an investigator saying things from their perspective. It doesn't make it true. It just means they are part of a document of discussion.
Yeah.
So if Trump got added to the mix on things that if I ran into someone, right? So in the investigators' litany of questions, they ask everybody that comes to the door, and they say, was Trump involved? And they asked 1,000 people the same question. And they say, no, or he wasn't involved or whatever. Would his name not appear a bunch of times if he got infused into the discussion?
Case in point, the Clintons were just questioned about all kinds of Epstein file stuff. And Bill Clinton was questioned about Donald Trump's involvement. And he said, I personally have never seen, have never witnessed, have never heard about Donald Trump doing anything inappropriate. I never heard about it happening. I never saw it happen. I've never heard Donald Trump in a situation that could even be misconstrued as inappropriate. Because he said that.
Translate that. Go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, because he said those words, Donald Trump's name is now written down. Regardless of what context it was. He said the name. It's now documented.
Everybody's asking about it. So here's my translation. I'm going to do my Bill impression. Okay. I had a conversation with. This is a terrible impression.
I had a conversation with Hillary the other day.
He promised me he wouldn't tell on me if I didn't tell on him.
So what we decided was I was going to get a massage. And
I never saw him.
Some other people were going to hang out with little girls.
Who's Donald Trump? Never seen him. Don't even know that guy. So anyway.
Don't let Hillary
Bill
kill
Clinton
me.
is an absolute liar, and he has no shame in lying in front of important hearings. So him telling the truth that time, kind of like off the.
And again, that's not defending Trump. I'm just stating a real life example of where Trump's name would be mentioned and then document it.
And then I mocked it and tried to be a little bit funny at your expense. I'm exhausted. Like, this is 2 days. This one was not as freeing as it was yesterday. Yesterday was just freeing.
Is there another thing you want to be freed of?
No, I think I vomited it all out yesterday. What about you? Got anything else besides headlights?
See, we got the headlights, which, by the way, is let's not dying on today's show. This is a thing. Somebody said something earlier. It made me think of something. What was it? Accusations, diary. Oh, I remember. Speaking of these files, I have not read all of them. Is it true they talk about eating babies?
People. But again, these are all just hypotheticals. This is like people who are thousands of people were interviewed, and they probably all said some.
So there's
shit.
No actual interaction of any hardcore, like, yes, they're talking about eating babies. It's just somebody said they were talking about eating babies.
Form it like this. The legal process is supposed to work as it snapshots an investigation and it gets to all of the participants before they've been inundated with outside influence. So when you're on a jury, what do they tell you? Don't read the news. Why? Because when you read in the news, things might be planted in your head.
Yep.
You might subconsciously pick up ideas.
Yep.
So now we had an investigation that happened in 2006, right? And now we're talking to people in 2026.
Yeah.
How many outside influence have permeated people's brains? And now they're talking about shit that if you hit them on day 2 of the investigation, you'd have been talking about perspectives that happened just yesterday instead of 20 effing years ago. So it's so unusable. It's not even funny.
And speaking of don't read the news, did I send you the video yesterday about the CNN story?
No.
Of the people that threw bombs? What was this, in New York?
The improvised explosives at Mandani's place.
Yeah. Was that like the young, this guy, he goes, I opened up, was it CNN the other day? And he's so funny the way he delivered this. He's like, and it says, 2 young college-age kids or 2 young Pennsylvania, whatever, were out on enjoying the weather in the city on an unusually warm day. Oh, wow, how nice. What happened? Until everything changed. Oh, my God, what changed? What happened to these 2 young people? And it was the story of the 2, like, Muslim protesting, whatever. They threw bombs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, at the turning point.
They threw bombs, yes. And he said, wait a minute, how did this story start off so, like, story-like and presenting until everything changed?
So, like, they were the victims, the terrorists were the victims?
And
that
it was
awesome.
like, oh, because had you said 2 Muslim extremists that threw bombs at a protest would have painted a totally different picture than this ridiculousness. And I'm just like, wow. And that's why they would say to a jury, you can't watch the news, don't read anything.
Yeah, so I do a lot of data sorting categorization for a living, okay? And I have to write extremely sophisticated formulas to be able to take data that happened at different times and weight its accuracy over a period of time, right? So if I were doing the whole Epstein list, and I would really look at the investigations that happened beginning of it versus the end of it. And so let's just say I wanted to look at how often Trump was mentioned in it. Would it be more valuable to look at the investigation transcripts before Trump was president, or would it be more valuable after a lot of people hate him and want him to be tied with Epstein? So I would take any mentions of any transcript that were authored after 2016 and give them a weight of 0.1. And anything before there was a reason to mention Donald Trump, I would give it a value of 10 times that. So I'd be interested, like in 2008, give me the Trump count when he wasn't on the radar. Because if he's in there and there's not a real politically expedient reason for him to be there, that's high value.
Yeah.
Here in 2020, if you mention Trump and whatever, it almost means nothing, because how many people are lining up to lob his name in the conversation because it hurts Trump.
And anybody saying, how could you just ignore this fact? It is a big deal. His name's out there. I would say you created that. 100%. You created that doubt.
That's the
when
felony
you called
thing.
Wolf over every other dumb accusation.
All right. I think they are here. I think that the hearings are a good Wait.
What?
I think that the hearings are a good cause. A lot of the stuff with the Epstein files, the statute of limitations here ran out. Yes, they did. They could either have said they can't do anything with them because of the hearings, never do anything with anybody. Yeah, the statute of limitations is gone. Most of the incriminating data was already destroyed. The theater of just going through these files are just a rehearsal because it was forced upon. There's nothing that's going to come out of this except for we're going to get to the end and still be thirsty for real information that we're never going to get. And the people who should have gone to jail have escaped it, and they're never going to go to jail. There's the end.
The Trumping in there 38,000 times is the new Trump is a 34-time felon.
Yes.
And we'll never have any actual answers. And it's going to be just this political, emotional appeal so that we don't ever actually look at anything anybody in office truly does wrong because we're too busy fighting over the nitpicky stuff.
Stuff that we'll never do anything about. So you can just chalk it up that Joe and Kelin were right from the very beginning of this.
We've always said we will never, ever know
says no,
the stuff.
No, but dogs and cats were eaten. LOL.
Dogs. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Do you remember that?
Yes. That was another thing where I realized media was changing things to push their agenda. When they accused J.D. Vance of making up. J.D. Vance admits to making up the eating dogs and cats story. And that's not what he said. He said nobody was talking about this until we said it. This wasn't a news story until this was said. We made it up entirely.
Do you believe they were eating dogs?
I don't know. Maybe. Do they eat dogs or cats?
Okay, well, if you're in a city and you don't have any food and Fido comes running along and you haven't eaten in a while, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that it might be your lunch. Maybe, culturally that they eat dogs and they were like, oh, a meal came to me. This is fantastic. But the headline was that when they were doing the investigation, somebody said during the investigation, and we've noticed a lot of dogs and cats have disappeared on this. I don't know if they ever said we saw somebody eating a dog. I just remember hearing in that story that there's some mysterious disappearance of animals and they connected it themselves. Well, I wasn't willing to jump and say that these illegal immigrants or whoever they were consuming people's pets because that's kind of,
Yeah. Makes you sound crazy.
Right. But what about things like Pizzagate? Are you now, is it conspiracy theory 101 or now does it more believable after what you read in the... What's
Pizzagate again? I don't know if I know Pizzagate.
Really?
What's Pizzagate?
I don't know if I want to bring it up because then I'm going to be thrown in the conspiracy. So basically I'm going to give you the somewhat diluted down summary of Pizzagate.
Okay.
It is a conspiracy theory where there's a cabal of important people that did ritualistic things like child sacrifice and drinking of blood. And they used terminology that applied to food like pizza, like different things. And they talked code about the things they were doing so they never got out there. So Pizzagate was an accusation that child sacrifice, ritualistic, really nasty,
satanic
bad stuff.
rituals.
And then you watch some of this stuff being talked about in the Epstein files where they are referring to things like, hey, are we going to go get our pizza? Referring it to an underage girl or having a translation. And so the connection is that maybe this was evidence that Pizzagate was a lot more real than people gave it credit for.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past. If somebody wanted to do something horrific, I would think they wouldn't be so dumb as to outwardly talk about it.
Did you find a baby so we could sacrifice it tonight? Translate to, are we going to go to the Super Bowl and score a touchdown?
I can't wait to drink that O positive.
I am so positive I'm thirsty.
Extra sauce on my pizza.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff. So I guess I was 0% on the Pizzagate. Now I'm like a 7%. Yeah. There might have been some truth to it behind the scenes.
Did you see, real quick, do you ever watch like Megyn Kelly?
No.
I don't like watching a lot of her stuff because I think she's very harsh and it's almost like it's for the attention, but
was she Fox News and then went to NBC?
Yeah, blonde hair.
Where's she now? What network is she with?
She's got like the Megyn Kelly show on.
Oh, so she's just independent now.
Yeah, like YouTube, and I don't know if it's like a Joe Rogan type thing, but she's got her own kind of podcast that's real big. I I saw a snippet, a short video of hers where she, again, was talking about how media can just change whatever they want to push an agenda. And it was a CNN interview, I believe, or like a 60 Minutes maybe interview with Pete Hegseth. And the interview clip that aired on national television was the interviewer asking a very direct question about Israel and Trump's stance and America's involvement and all this stuff. Pete Hegseth answered, Trump will always do what is right for America. He believes America first, period. What actually transpired in that interview, when you see the uncut version, is the interviewer didn't say a single thing about Israel. The question wasn't about Israel, had nothing to do with Israel, was in no way, shape, or form the question that aired. It was something totally different. And that was Hegseth's answer about America first and everything. But in editing, they changed the question and put his answer on there to make it look like that's what he said. How do we trust anything we see anymore? This isn't AI. This isn't social media. This is mainstream and aired on our television sets.
So I've answered this question for you a million times. You want a different answer? Hey, Kelin, don't trust anybody. They're not there to tell you the truth. So write that down on a piece of paper. Next time you're reading a media article, say, oh, I shouldn't trust these people. And that's it. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yep.
I know you want to have a news outlet that is trustworthy,
but
we don't have any news outlets that are trustworthy. So I'm sorry. There you go. Instead of tracking down headlines, start a news agency that just tells the truth.
Listen, I need something realistic I can do.
And it starts social media. You can call it like Truth Social or something like that. Like you can really start a trend for
Truth Social. That is a thing, isn't it?
It's Trump's thing. Yes, I was making a
That's
joke.
Trump's thing?
Trump's thing.
Truth Social.
Truth Social is Trump.
That's true. It is Trump. Yep. Julie says, then let's drop it. Nothing matters.
Drop what?
I think it was we'll never know anything about Epstein. Everything's already passed.
I would like to mop up and really find, even if we can't do anything about it, it is still important to know. Put it through even though you cannot prosecute it, you will not get a conviction. I think they need to still ferret out what can be known based on what the evidence is still there. And you saw the one release that we had resignations and a couple of people had a little bit of punishment knowing that they were probably involved. Let's get more of the people that are still alive, more testimony from the people that were victims of this, and see if we, instead of like not mob rule, we're going to drag people in the streets, put it through a grand jury with a zero indictment at the end of the day, right? Make it punitive money wise. I don't know what you can still do. And if you can't prosecute it for prison time, at least let the rest of us know if there are people that are in government, they should not be. Get them out of government as soon as you identify that they're there.
And how many times are we going to just fight over what some skeezy people did on two political parties before we take seriously a third option? If a third option comes into light who does seem like there's no history of being a pedo, there's no history of being inappropriate with women or kids, there's no history of lying, there's no history of being in it for yourself or being power hungry or money hungry, and they've got some good ideas, they're automatically dead in the water if they're an independent because, well, we have these two sides and this is what we do.
It would be 39 seconds before the strategy of tagging you with a bunch of those things. You would be a racist, homophobe, bigot.
Oh, yeah. Now you have two sides coming after you. So you would never survive that
because it's literally the default response. Anybody who runs is automatically, they're given a card. They're a racist, homophobe. Whatever. Every tag you want to put on.
You're crazy. RFK Jr. was crazy.
Yeah, it's automatic. So you just got to know it going in that you're going to be labeled that.
That was funny. Is like what I like that RFK Jr. did is he came out from the get-go and said, "Yep," and told the full story of every single weird thing he did. I was a heroin addict. I found a dead bear and thought it was funny to mess with it. I chopped the head off of a dead whale. I did everything. He was an open book. And so when you had nothing else to throw that way of like, well, he did this. Yep, here's the story. Yep, here's the story. Now it's just, oh, well, he's just crazy. He's a crazy person.
It depends on your definition of whale. What is whale? Whale, are you talking about a blue one or a pink one?
Are you talking about my mama? You're so insensitive. What an insensitive jerk. You just called my mother that.
If they can believe what they believe about Trump, then I can believe Pizzagate. There's no harm in it. I mean, I believe in a lot of fun conspiracies, and I don't believe them in a sense where somebody came up to me and said, "I'll give you $1 million right now if you're wrong or right, and if you're right, you get $1 million, and you owe me $1 million." There's not one conspiracy that I have enough volume of evidence to take that bet, because I don't want to lose $1 million, and I know I'm probably wrong on most of them.
I consider just about everything now.
Yeah, Bigfoot.
Just about everything.
There's been a Bigfoot sighting a couple miles away.
Maybe that. No, I don't know what people are seeing.
Okay.
Do you think so? They were talking about the mass amounts of Bigfoot sightings that came in a very short amount of time. Mm-hmm. Did they say? Is it different people? Like, are they in any way connected? Could this be a ruse put on by a group of friends, or is it truly different? I don't know. Like, what information do we even have about this?
I don't know. I dismiss most of that because I believe that there could be a creature that lives in some of the sparse areas of anywhere that we just haven't run across, whether it be a big mammal or something in the ape family, or
like, you think it could be an animal we've just literally not discovered yet?
We are finding new species of fish that we never knew existed in the ocean, right?
Yeah, but I feel like the ocean can be pretty deep.
You ever get
humans
you
aren't
ever get
always
in an airplane?
there. Yeah,
and they're flying over population areas. You say, "Oh, there's a city there." Do you see all the space between those cities? That's heavily either desert or big trees or whatever. We don't necessarily traverse those territories with any kind of regularity. And, we're probably finding different species of cat. So this isn't that much different than what a human would be. And if there are only few of them and they live in parts of the world that we don't have a lot of people going into, right? I think there could be a separation, a filter that's kept them away from humanity. I don't think the ones you see close to your town are one of those ones by any means. I think they're just reserved for mountainous areas that are hard to get to and nobody have ever been.
Because it's also more believable that Bigfoot is now such a widely talked about and known thing.
It's very popular.
That people would try to be like, I'm going to dress up and go walking through the woods and make people think they saw Bigfoot.
If you were in the woods and you could barely see some kind of animal that was large in stature, be it a black bear or whatever, your brain wants to see Bigfoot so bad that became Bigfoot for you.
What if it's a hunter in camouflage?
Right. The one argument, and I think who made this the other day? Anyway, we have more sophisticated technology in infrared and cameras. We have eyes on everything. So your simple cell phone could make a high resolution image or video of anything. If people really had run-ins you get run-ins of people eating a cheeseburger on a regular basis. You whip out your phone and you get lots of video, right? Mm-hmm. If you think that a hiker in the woods didn't see Bigfoot and took a camera that had more than 8 pixels for the image, you're crazy. So with as many, and again, if there's no hikers and people don't usually go there, and you're rappelling or scaling mountains, you're not going to have your phone there. So even if you said you saw it, you're not going to have imagery. So that's the last bastion of hope that Bigfoot is real, that the places that he lives that nobody really goes to or are prepared to take pictures when they're there.
Brian says, Luke was in the same basic area as the Bigfoot sightings, wasn't he? LOL.
And he and I really, we contemplated creating a hoax with Bigfoot. And we were going to do it. We were going to rent a Bigfoot costume, dress Luke up, and have him peek out and come out of the tree line along Interstate 80.
That's a good way to get shot.
He said, what if someone shoots me for the trophy that is a Bigfoot? Somebody pulls off the side of the road, sees you, boom, takes aim at you, you're dead. He comes, grabs your body, and now it was Luke in a costume. That's why the only reason we didn't do it.
Here's something I thought about. 1, yes, a human would get shot. 2, if somebody found, shot, killed, captured Bigfoot, an actual being animal of which we know nothing about, and we have, holy crap, look at this thing, let's study it. Should that be legal?
To kill Bigfoot?
Yeah, to kill an animal just to say I wanted to see it. Like, you just ended this rare species life because we wanted a closer look at it?
Well, I
wanted a closer look, so I killed you.
I'm thinking like our our ancestors, when they come across something they didn't know what it was, they almost made it a godlike status and they worshipped at it. So I think most of us would be like, yeah, if we saw a leucistic deer in the woods that was all white, it's different than everything else. Like some trophy hunters would be like, I want that deer. It's so much different. Others would be like, man, that deer is special. Let's leave it alone.
I've never seen a bald eagle up close. I can't kill one so that I can go look at it up close.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the no kill would be. I would look. I'd appreciate, but I'd probably let it live. Because we want more big feet.
Yeah, big feet.
Is that plural?
I think so.
Okay.
Bigfoots need to do it running around and hiding in downtown. That's an even better way to get shot.
Yeah, you would get shot for different reasons.
If I saw something like that coming at me in the streets of Youngstown at night, you better believe.
Well, if you did it downtown, I would trank you. I would not kill you.
Well, that's good.
All right, let's get out of here for today. Good one. Thanks for letting us vent. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and